I'm Jason Hager, and this is Grayleaf Media, now presented as Marketing Notes for Entrepreneurs, where impact-driven leaders use trust, clarity, and strategy to turn good work into sustainable growth. This is a new series about the foundational assumption most businesses get wrong and how it breaks everything else. Your marketing probably isn't working. Not because you're doing it wrong, because you're doing it for the wrong people. Here's a question. Who actually buys from you? Not who you want to buy, not who your ICP says should buy. Who actually hands you money? Go look at your last 20 customers. I'm willing to bet at least half of them don't match your stated ICP. That's not a marketing problem. That's a foundation problem. Your ICP, or your ideal customer profile, is probably a lie. Not because you're dishonest, but because it's based on assumptions instead of reality. Based on who you want to serve, not who actually gets value from what you do. And your entire marketing strategy is built on that false assumption. Your social media strategy, your content, your positioning, your messaging, your product roadmap, your pricing. All of it is optimized for a customer who doesn't exist. Over the next several episodes, we're going to break down exactly how a wrong ICP cascades through your entire marketing system, how it breaks social media, content strategy, positioning, sales messaging, product development, pricing, and retention. But today, we start with the foundation. Why most ICPs are lies, and how to find who you actually serve. This is Episode 9, Your ICP is a Lie. Let's talk about the gap between who you think you serve and who actually buys. Most ICPs are created based on three things: who the founder wants to serve, who seems like they should value this, and who has the budget you want to charge. Notice what's missing? Who actually buys? Here's the typical pattern. You have an idea. You think about who would benefit. You create a customer profile based on those assumptions. You build your marketing around it. Then you launch. And the people who actually buy don't quite match. Different industry, smaller companies, different roles, different use case than you intended. But instead of updating your ICP to match reality, you keep marketing to the theoretical customer, because that's who you want to serve. That's who makes the business look scalable, or fundable, or impressive. So you end up with two customer bases, the theoretical one you're marketing to, and the actual one that's funding your business. That's the lie. You're operating from assumption instead of reality. And this creates a cascade. When your ICP is wrong, everything downstream breaks. Your social media targets the wrong people. Your content solves problems your actual customers don't have. Your positioning speaks to a market that isn't buying. Your sales conversations use language that doesn't resonate. Your product builds features nobody wants. Your pricing is calibrated for customers who don't exist. It's not that any single element is bad. It's that they're all built on a false foundation. And when the foundation is wrong, the structure can't stand. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. A founder builds a project management tool. Their ICP is enterprise teams of 50-plus people who need complex workflow automation. Why? Because enterprise has budget. Because complex workflows justify premium pricing. Because that's what the pitch deck says. But when they launch, who actually buys? Freelancers, solo consultants, small agencies with 3 to 5 people. And they're not using it for complex workflow automation. They're using it to keep client projects organized and look professional in client communications. So the founder has a choice. Accept that the actual customers are freelancers and agencies and rebuild the strategy around that reality. Or keep marketing to enterprise teams. Keep building features for complex workflows. Keep pricing for big budgets and hope the right customers eventually show up. Most founders pick the second option because admitting the ICP is wrong feels like admitting the business is wrong. But they haven't failed. They've just discovered reality. The failure happens when you ignore reality and keep building for a market that isn't buying. When you're chasing enterprise teams who don't want your product, you're neglecting the freelancers and agencies who do. You're not serving them well. You're not building features they need. You're not creating content that speaks to their problems. Eventually, those actual customers churn because you're focused on serving a theoretical customer who doesn't exist. This is the gap between who you think you serve and who actually buys, and it kills businesses. So, how do you close that gap? Start with your actual customer base. Pull your customer list, last 50 customers minimum. Segment them by industry, company size, role, geography, use case, revenue contribution, satisfaction, and referral behavior. Look for patterns. Not what you expected to see, but what's actually there. Now, who are your best customers? Not theoretically, actually. Who stays longest, refers most, pays without complaint, and gets the most value? Do they match your stated ICP? Or are they in a completely different segment? Next, interview your best customers. Not a survey, an actual conversation. Ask them, what problem were you trying to solve when you found us? How did you find us? What almost stopped you from buying? What made you choose us? How are you actually using this? What would you tell someone like you about us? Listen for the language they use, the actual pain points, the real motivations. Pay attention to surprises. When they say something unexpected, that's reality breaking through your assumptions. Then, map the gap. Compare your stated ICP to your actual customer data. Different industry? Different company size? Different role? Different use case? Different pain point? The gap tells you where your assumptions diverged from reality. Now, build a reality-based ICP. This might be uncomfortable. Your actual ICP might be less prestigious than you wanted, smaller companies than you hoped, a different industry than you planned, using your product differently than intended. That discomfort is information. It's telling you that your ego or your business plan was driving the original ICP, not market reality. And here is what you need to understand. There's nothing wrong with serving freelancers if enterprise won't buy. There's nothing wrong with serving small businesses if mid-market isn't interested. There's nothing wrong with your product being used differently than intended if customers get value from it. The problem is pretending you serve one market while actually serving another. Because that pretending, that's what breaks your marketing. Most ICP problems show up when people try to niche. 3 common patterns. First, niching too broad. Small businesses isn't a niche. Neither is B2B companies or entrepreneurs. If your ICP is too broad, you can't create specific messaging. You're trying to serve everyone, which means you're not particularly valuable to anyone. Second, niching in the wrong direction. You picked a niche based on what sounded good, not what actually worked. Maybe you targeted law firms because they have money, but law firms don't actually value what you do. Your best customers are in construction. You niched, just in the wrong direction. Third, niching too early. You picked a niche before you had enough customer data to know where you had traction. So you committed to a market segment before that segment validated you. The solution isn't always to niche differently. Sometimes it's to stay broader until you have enough data to niche intelligently. Other times, it's to accept that you niched wrong and pivot toward where you actually have traction. Either way, the answer comes from looking at reality, not theory. Here's what I want you to do this week. Look at your last 20 customers. See if they match your stated ICP. If they don't, that's not failure. That's information. Because over the next several episodes, we're going to break down exactly how a wrong ICP cascades through your entire marketing system. How it breaks your social media, your content, your positioning, your messaging, your product, your pricing, everything. But before we can fix any of that, you need to know who you're actually serving. I'm Jason Hager, and this is Marketing Notes for Entrepreneurs from Grayleaf Media. For leaders who believe profit and purpose don't have to be at odds. If you need help figuring out who you actually serve and rebuilding your marketing strategy around reality, that's what brand therapy is for. Link in the description. Or you can go to grayleafmedia.com/diagnostic. Next time, how a wrong ICP breaks your social media strategy. Until then, keep building and go look at your actual customers.